a sinner, left my lover crying on the dance floor. I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner.
Hello everybody and welcome back to more Slow Damage. So you might see some
そう
things
だ、
again.
レイ君。この間店でやったボディアートの相談イベント。お客さんから好評でね。
Some things you guys might see again, I'll skip over them because new computer, new save.
いや、そこからお客さんになってくれる人もいたし、
We've seen this.
それじゃあ、またイベントの打ち合わせしようか。
よろしくお願いします。
The tray and dishcloth in hand, Ray cheerfully walked off. I stumbled down the street early in the next morning, after drinking at Rooster all night long. Ray was worried about letting me leave, but I assured him I was used to it. This kind of thing happened all the time. It wasn't rare for me to end up down here on the concrete either. I thought I was walking straight, but everything was spinning, and the next thing I knew, I was on my side. I felt a dull ache spread through my body, but it didn't really bother me, probably because I was drunk. Now that I was lying down, however, fatigue quickly set in. I didn't want to get up again. My eyelids drooped. It felt like gravity was pulling me down hard against the ground. I guess this is happening. With that thought, I closed my eyes. And because I was so wasted, it didn't take long for me to pass out. My head. The stabbing pain made me grimace. Where am I? Forcing my sluggish brain to cooperate, I slowly reviewed the events of last night. I went to Roos, got drunk, and left. Then, on my way home, I must have passed out on the sidewalk. Whoop, wrong button. And yet, for some reason, I was now lying on a bed. This was not my room. And there was a weird smell. Not in an unpleasant sense, just very distinct. I must have smelled it somewhere before. Wow. As my mind sharpened, I sat up and looked around the room. Did someone take my drunk ass in off the streets? I was wearing all my clothes and my ass didn't hurt, so apparently they didn't have their way with me while I was out. So someone just brought me here? Was it one of my past hookups? Whoever it was had tucked me in, but I pushed the covers off and moved to get up. Until I saw a bandage wrapped around my arm. I didn't remember getting a bandage on my arm. Hell, I didn't even remember needing a bandage. Was this the work of the same person who brought me here? I unrolled the bandage to find a 4-inch piece of gauze taped to my skin. Under that was a 4-inch long cut. When and where did I get this wound? And who treated it? Confused, I tossed the unrolled bandage to the bed and stood up. Every time I moved, my head throbbed and my vision pitched sideways. The room was clean and tidy with a table, a small sofa, a TV, a bed, and dozens of decorative plants. I could also see pruning shears, a spade, and watering can. Whoever lived here clearly liked gardening. And the potted plants were easily the best part of this place. I could see even more of them lined up on the balcony. I was clueless about plants, so I couldn't tell what they were, but when I smelled that weird smell again, my attention narrowed in on them. To a novice like me, they all looked the same. They all looked like the same kind of plant, so I couldn't tell them apart. Judging from their verdant leaves and bright blooming flowers, their owner probably took good care of them. Still, this was all only making the mystery even deeper. What was I doing here in this plant room? I could see a coat sitting folded on the sofa and recognized it as mine. I grabbed it and pulled it on. Then I opened the door and walked out of the green, leafy room to the hallway, where I found even more potted plants. There were so many, they took up half the walking space. I progressed down the hallway to the front door, where I found my shoes lined up neatly. Seriously, what motive did they have? I stepped into my shoes and left the apartment. Briefly, I glanced over my shoulder at the number plate, 1403, no name listed. I walked down to the end of the hall and found an elevator, but decided to take the stairs instead, all the way down to the ground floor. As I passed through the lobby, I glanced over at the mailboxes. I spotted one for 1403, but once again, there was no name listed. Once I was outside, I looked back at the building. It was a high-rise condo tower, about 25 stories tall. Judging from that, this was probably District E. Unlike mainland Japan, high-rise condos in Shinokumi rented for cheap, especially in District E. Looking at the endless walls of them, I could easily imagine why. Back in its heyday, Shinokumi city officials ignored safety protocols to build enough housing for the new influx of residents. They were all built on unsteady foundations, and they were packed in so tight you'd scarcely get any sunlight living there. The buildings only got taller as you traveled closer to the ocean. Livability wasn't a high priority when the land itself was so limited. So in these parts, if you owned a single-story house, you were rich. I pulled my phone out of my coat pocket and launched the GPS app to find out where I was. Ross Clinic was 15 minutes walk away. I quietly memorized my route, then dropped my phone back into my pocket and started walking. When I arrived at the clinic, I went upstairs to my apartment. Inside, the TV that I had left on had been switched off, probably Taku again. My clean laundry was sitting folded on the sofa, and I got the sense he'd tidied things up while I was gone. I pulled off my coat and flung it over the back of the sofa. Then I switched the TV back on and flopped down on my back. I grabbed a pack of cigarettes off the coffee table and lit one. My hangover had persisted since I woke up in a stranger's house, and it ached with every heartbeat. Slowly, I exhaled the cigarette smoke and lifted my arm into view. My brand new mysterious cut was still oozing. I thought back to the strange apartment filled with nothing but plants. What kind of weirdo lived there? As curious as I wasn't going out of my way to find out. I had only taken a couple drags, but nevertheless, I pitched my cigarette between my fingers and put it out in the ashtray. My body felt like lead. I draped one arm over my eyes. Then I wandered into the darkness behind my eyelids. Having a good day.
いた
I heard my door open, followed by a loud, cheerful voice that stabbed into my eardrums. At least now I didn't have to wonder who it was. I lowered the arm and I had draped over my eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. Ray and Taku were standing there in my room.
ちょっととは昨日はあれからまっすぐ家に帰ったのっていうかお昼よお昼
Ray set his large tote bag down on the coffee table with a thud. Taku walked over to the sofa and crouched down to check on me.
具合が悪そうだな。大丈夫か？
What was that?
二日酔い
なるほど。
昨日も飲みまくってたものねいつものことだけど
Fear my abilities. With a catty quip, Ray pulled out a series of plastic containers and set them on the table. Apparently, they were here to eat lunch with me. Whenever Ray cooked for us, we would always eat it up here.
今日のメニューはトマトハンバーグカレーよ
お、なんだか洒落てるな。
そう時間がなかったから簡単にできるものにしたんだけどお皿と飲み物の準備お願い
わかった。
Taku rose to his feet, walked into my seldomly used kitchen, and fetched us a bunch of stuff: plates, forks, spoons, and bottled drinks.
ありがとうほらトアも起きて食べるわよ
At Ray's prompting, I slowly sat myself up. My head still ached, but not as bad as earlier. Then he served up his ground beef tomato curry, and we were ready to eat.
いい匂いだな。
でしょそれじゃ早速食べましょういただきます
Ray picked up his spoon and started eating. Taku took a bite, then immediately looked at Ray.
うまい。
でしょ
トマトの酸味が効いてるな。
そうなのそうなのトアはどう
Ray shot me a hopeful look, so I picked up my spoon.
ちょっと待て、トア。
Before I could take a bite, Taku stopped me.
どうしたそれ。また怪我したのか？
He eyed the fresh cut on my arm.
ああちょっと
見せてみろ。
Spoon still in hand, I offered him my arm. He took it and gingerly pulled it close.
切られたのか？
いや、わからない。
わからない。
気づいたらこうなってて、包帯も巻かれてた。
包帯？どういうことだ？
昨日、ルースとの帰りに道端で潰れて。
やっぱり
目が覚めたら、知らない部屋にいた。
え
お前、そりゃ。
The two of them stared at me wide-eyed.
知らない部屋ってどういうこと
そのままの意味だよ。
誰かに連れ込まれたのか？他に被害は？
何も。ベッドに寝かされて、この傷ができてたくらい。
それって泥酔してわけがわからないうちにやられちゃったってこと？
いや、何もされてない。
意味がわからないんだけど。
つまり酔いつぶれて目を覚ましたら知らない部屋のベッドに寝ていて覚えのない怪我をしていたと？
その部屋は全然覚えがないわけ？心当たりも？
ない。
部屋には誰かいたの？
誰も。
何それ。 なんだか気持ち悪いわね。怪我だけで済んだからよかったけど。
お前本当に気をつけろよ。道端で寝込むなんて襲ってくださいって言ってるようなもんじゃないか。
They both seemed incredibly worried for my safety, but not me. If I got raped, then I got raped. I'm going to fix the Alrighty.
よし、食べたら早めに戻ってトアの怪我の処置をするか。
オッケー。
And so the two of them started eating at lightning speed.
俺は別に後ででも。
But before I could finish, Ray whipped his head around to glare at me, his mouth full of curry.
何言ってるの。とは前にも傷を放置して化膿させて熱を出したことがあったじゃない。小さな怪我だからって甘く見てると危ないのよ。特にトアはそういうのいい加減なんだから。どうしてできたのかわからない怪我なんて怖いし、ちゃんと治療した方がいいわ。
He was starting to sound like my mom or something, so I shrugged.
さ、見せてみろ。
After we finished our food, we briefly borrowed the exam room before the clinic reopened in the afternoon. Taku took my arm and carefully examined the cut.
これは刃物、ナイフでやられたんだ。
刃物？切られたってこと？やだ、怖い。
Ray frowned as he peered at my wound from behind me.
怪我としては大きいものじゃないからすぐに治るだろうけどな。お前本当に覚えてないのか？自分で切ったとかじゃなく？
切ってない。
Taku used a pair of tweezers to gently rub a cotton ball soaked with disinfectant against the cut, which began to sting. Once the wound was disinfected, he slathered ointment onto the strip of gauze and pressed it against my arm using the tape to secure it in place when he wrapped a bandage around it.
これでよしっと。大丈夫だとは思うが、何かあったらすぐ言えよ。
ああ。
もう飲むのはいいけど本当に気をつけてよね。
多分な。
We won't try.
最悪。
I love you too, baby.
それにしても理由はわからないんだが最近多いんだよ。
何が？
酔いつぶれて怪我をしたって患者さんがな。
前から結構いた気がするけど、もっと増えてるってこと？
ああ、高里組の締め付けがきつくなってるって話だから追い詰められて酒に逃げる人が増えてるのかもしれんが。と、そろそろ時間か。午後の診察始まるぞ。
はい。
Once he put away his medical equipment, Taku rose to his feet. Likewise, Ray filed out of the room.
お前、今日は休みだったよな。
ああ。
まだ気分が悪いなら上でおとなしく寝とけよ。
I still had a hangover headache, but it was nothing I couldn't tolerate. As I stepped out into the hall, I passed Ari. You know what? Just Ari. Ari holding a bouquet in his
買っ
arm.
てきたのか。
違いますよ。今配達が来たんですけど、誰からなのか不明で。
He blinked at me with a straight face.
不明？
ええ。なので、泉さんへ聞きに行こうと思っていて。
As he
僕の代
spoke,
わりに聞いてきてもらえませんか？
I noticed he was blushing faintly. I'd forgotten that this dude had a major crush on Ray.
お前が聞いてこいよ。
今手が離せないんです。なので、
本当にいいのか？
何がですか？いいんですよ。早く言ってください。
sensed what I was getting at and glared at me reproachfully. Then he thrust the bouquet at my hands. The moment I took it, a strange scent tickled my nose. I thought maybe it was the flowers, so I sniffed them, but it wasn't that. Next, I looked at the payment slip, the only sender listed as the flower shop itself. I looked up to find that Ari had already left.
あら、何よその花、かわいいじゃない。
Just then, Ray walked over from the staff room.
ガーベラかしら。ピンクでとってもかわいいわね。どうしたのこの花。
誰かから送られてきたらしい。
誰かって
さあ。
わからないってこと？
He looked at me dubiously, so I showed him the payment slip.
花屋の名前しか書いてないじゃない。
有村が困ってた。
恥ずかしがり屋の患者さんなのかしら。何にしろ誰からなのかわからないのはモヤモヤするわね。
Probably from whoever took something from our arm. He put a hand to his chin in contemplation, then looked at me.
ねえとは、この花屋へ行って聞いてきてよ。
I fixed him a defiant look. Why the hell would I go to a flower shop for fun?
何よその目。いいじゃない、今日はお休みなんだし。それともそんなに二日酔いがひどいの？
いや。
それじゃお願いね。お花は私が飾っておくわ。
He took the bouquet from me and winked. Times like these, I couldn't hold my ground against him. If I didn't do exactly what he asked, I'd only get an earful later. Not only that, but Ray knew I wouldn't waste my energy fighting him on it. I looked down at the payment slip in my hands and let out a sigh. Ultimately, I left the clinic and headed to the flower shop. As I walked, I used the GPS app to orientate myself in the right direction. Before long, my destination came into view up ahead. The store had a sign that read Rose with glass panels that displayed the plants for sale inside. I peered in from outside. There was a single male clerk standing inside with no customers in sight. I walked over to the door and slowly pulled it open.
いらっしゃいませ。
The clerk walked over to me.
聞きたいことがあるんだけど。
あ、はい、何でしょ
His expression faltered slightly in the face of my brute attitude. There we go. I pulled the payment slip out of my coat pocket and showed it to him. He recognized it and nodded.
う。ああ、村瀬クリニックさんへの配達ですね。何か問題が？
誰から送られた花なのか知りたい。
He looked at me with a guilty frown.
すみません。こちらはどうしても匿名でと承っておりまして。
どうしても？
はい。なのでお答えするわけには。
送られた側としても困るんだけど、こういうの。
確かにそうですよね。この時は自分が対応したんですが、花を贈られたのは患者さんだと思います。皆さんにいつもお世話になっているから感謝を伝えたいと、そうおっしゃられていたので。
匿名にした理由は？
恥ずかしいので知られたくないと。
Yeah, that's not a red flag at all. If this clerk is telling the truth, then there was no real reason to force a name out of him. If anything, that'd just be rude to the patient.
わかった。どうも。
I nodded and turned away. With that thought, I opened the glass door and quickly distanced myself from all the greenery. I had officially accomplished the task Ray wanted me to do. And since I wasn't scheduled to work at the clinic today, I had some time on my hands. I figured maybe I wandered around town before heading back home. Too early to head home. The Rose Shop. This is Rose Flower Shop, located in the Northeast District E. I haven't gone there yet. This is the park located at the entrance of District E. Not much to say about it, except on the weekends they sometimes hold concerts, rummage sales, and other events here. In the evenings you see a lot of kids around, possibly due to a large-scale combined K-12 located close by. Since the park is situated at the foot of the bridge, all District E residents have to pass through it to reach District D. Consequently, you'll see people of every stripe around here, from students to office workers to prostitutes. The park is rich with plants and trees, and many people come here just to relax. I can hear ambulance sirens in the distance on the other side of the bridge. Just another part of daily life in Shinokumi.
おーい
よ
どうも
Perfect timing, actually.
う何が
I've got a question. If somebody asked you which you like better, booze or smokes, what would you tell them? Oh,
ちげえよ
you gotta pick one.
Positive.
Whatever, it's fine.
たくよ
Forget it. Joke's on me for asking, I guess. I had a feeling Toa-san would say that. I know, right? But Toa-san worries about the strangest things. Hell, he'll waffle between roughing up a delinquent debtor and roughing up a violent drug addict. What's the difference? Exactly. But I'm not sure what order to do it in. What does it matter?
ああも
Come on, Kataro. What's gotten into you? Let's get a move on already.
うるせえよそんじゃ
See ya.
何したんだ
Okay, so we can't talk to them anymore. We did get some info. So that's good. As I walked down the street, I noticed a line of people outside a small shop. I could smell something sweet, probably a bakery then. Upon further inspection, I spotted Ray at the end of the line.
おい
あ
Oh my god, Toa, don't perceive me right now. I mean, not like it's that embarrassing or whatever. So what are you doing?
これはね
I'm here to buy limited cake. Oh, wanna eat it with me after?
いや
Yeah, I figured as much.
Positive.
You really like your sweets, don't you? Like them, I love them. I would like totally die without my sugar fix.
そうか
So we did find what he likes.
それじゃね。
Anyway, gotta go snag myself a piece of heaven. See you later, Toa. See ya. Curiouser and curiouser. I like that we get to find out things about people. This is Yanagawa Cafe. It's a popular lunch spot in this area. And since it's only about a 5-minute walk from the clinic, we come here a lot. It's been open for 20 years and the interior is pleasantly peaceful.
いらっしゃいませ。
ああ、
Table for one, smoking section. You got it, right this way.
うん。
I'll take a coffee, any kind. Coming right up. I lit a cigarette and gazed aimlessly around the room. Some customers were drinking coffee and reading the newspaper, while others were cutting up the cafe's famous honey toast. Most of them were familiar faces, regulars who always came by for lunch. As I smoked my cigarette, the waitress returned, carrying a mug of coffee. Thank you for waiting. Here's your Yanagawa House Blend. I took the mug and raised it to my lips. The faint acidity and rich scent wafted up to greet me. It made me realize just how seldom I imbibed something with this mild in flavor. As the fragrance of the coffee beans lingered, I raised my cigarette to my lips. There's no one really to talk to, right? Okay. Okay, so there's nothing there. We'll go back to the clinic.
Yo,
Oh, hey, Toa.
na.
What are you groaning to yourself about? Oh, well, it's just... Takayama-san invited me to get drinks tonight, but I'm not sure I can compete with with that lush. Much as I love booze, if I go drinking with Takayama-san, I'll have to prepare myself for a real nasty hangover. But I can't keep rejecting the invite every time. Make it clear. Make a casual comment. You could try that. I do like that you can save during these.
ポジティブに。いいんじゃないか。
お前はな。
Oh,
ネガティブに。はあ、
just say no, it's fine.
あのな。
Interesting. Toa, why don't you go? You'll get a lot of free booze out of it.
いいんじゃないか。
And that's no problem for you since you drink like a damn fish.
そうか。
Okay, so we have to keep up for the... I forgot to look for the euphoria. What if I told you I'm interested? You serious? Don't be silly.
まったく。
You almost had me that time. Well, whatever. Maybe I could just go for an hour or two, then leave early.
それじゃあな。
Alright. Oh, whoops. There's no business there. Yeah, there's really nothing else. Exploration over. Back at my apartment, I turned on the TV and flopped down onto the sofa. My mind wandered as I slid a cigarette between my lips. For a moment, I thought maybe I should tell Ray about the anonymous flower sender, but before I could grab my phone, I changed my mind. Late that night, I paid a visit to Roos like usual.
いらっしゃい。
The manager called out to me quietly as I entered. I walked to the counter and sat down on the empty stool.
何にする？
I really like that art.
ウォッカ、ロックで。
He grabbed a glass, dropped in some ice, then poured in the liquor. Once the cup was full of clear liquid, he handed it to me. I slid it over and took a small sip, then pulled out a cigarette and lit it.
そうだ、トワ君。あのね。
ありがとうございました。
Ray's loud voice cut in as he and a man I didn't recognize walked out from the back room.
今日はありがとう。
こちらこそ、いつでもどうぞ。
The man bowed to Ray and the manager, then left the bar. After he was gone, Ray whirled around to look at me like he'd only just noticed me.
あらとは来てたの？
今のは客か？
そう。体に磁石入れてみたいんだって。
In other words, he was one of Ray's body modification clients.
レイ君、お客さんが呼んでるよ。
あ、はーい。オーダー取ってきます。とは、今日は飲みすぎないでね。
You can't tell me what to do. With that semi-serious warning, he strolled off to the customer's table. Exhaling cigarette smoke, I pulled out my cell phone out of my pocket. Then I navigated to the fourth face and scrolled through the news articles. Before long, I arrived at the wound photo from before, still every bit as eye-catching.
店長。
ん？
I showed him my phone screen over the counter.
これ、何に見える？
ああ、それ、ブログの画像だよね。フレーズの。
傷に見えるけど違う。
さっき話そうとしたことなんだけどね。フレーズにあったよ。
At this, I lowered my phone.
連絡があったのか？
いや、店に来て名乗ったんだよ。自分がそうだって。
どんなやつだった？
男性だよ。見た目は普通かな。この町には最近来たみたいで、メールアドレスの件について謝られた。今は使ってないものを間違えて記入してしまったって。それでね、名乗り出てくれたお礼に好きな飲み物をおごるよって言ったら、なんて答えたと思う？アブさんって言うんだよ。
That weird wormwood booze.
あの独特の香りが好きなんだって。そんなことを言う人は初めてだからびっくりしちゃったよ。
何がどうしたの？あ、店長、オーダー。
Ray cut into the conversation in order to pass on the customer's request.
店のブログに載せた傷の画像あるでしょ？
そうなんだ。とはよかったじゃない。
Beaming, Ray clapped me on the shoulder, and unexpected impact made me cough.
あ、ねえとは、そういえばクリニックに花を送った人って誰だったの？
言ったよ。匿名希望だから言えないってさ。
そうなの？それはそれで困るわね。
うちの患者だろうとは言ってた。いつも世話になってるから送ったとかなんとか。
そっか。それじゃあやっぱり患者さんの誰かなのかな。
花が送られてきたの？
As Ray murmured pensively, the manager cut in, half-dried glass in hand.
うん。クリニックに届いたんだけど、誰からなのかが書いてなかったのよ。それでトアが今日は休みだったから花屋に直接聞きに行ってもらったの。
そうなんだ。どんな花？
ピンクのガーベラ。あ、ねえねえ、ガーベラの花言葉って知ってる？
花言葉？知らないな。
Ray looked from the manager to me. Wordlessly, I shook my head.
数交尾ですって。
数交尾？なんだかうやうやしい響きのある花言葉だね。
そうね。送ってくれた患者さんはそういうの関係なく見た目で選んだんでしょうけど。
それにしてもレイ君、花言葉なんてよく知ってるね。
花のタトゥーを入れたいっていうお客さんが結構いるから花について調べたことがあるの。その時に花言葉があるって知ってちょっとハマっちゃったのよね。だってロマンチックじゃない？
He clasped his hands to his chest and swooned.
すべての花に意味がつけられてるなんて。
あ、レイ君、お客さんが呼んでるよ。
はーい。
Ray hastily unclasped his hands and headed over to the customer who had raised his hand for service.
トア君、今度フレーズに紹介しようか。
The manager's voice left his lips in a conspiratorial whisper. Admittedly, I was a little curious about Phrase, but not that desperate to meet the guy.
ま、機会があれば。
I took a sip of my watery vodka and slowly swallowed. So it looks like we're gonna get to meet Phrase. The next day, I was scheduled to work in the morning. Unfortunately, I slept until right before the clinic opened, forcing Taku to wake me up. I was dying to have a smoke before I went downstairs, so I grabbed the pack off the coffee table and lit one. As I was taking a drag, there was a light knock at the door.
ちょっといいか。
Taku walked into the room and shut the door behind him. He then folded his arms and looked at me sternly. I figured he'd chew me out for smoking instead of heading straight to work, but apparently not. I set my cigarette in the ashtray, turned my face to exhale the smoke away, and then looked back at him.
さっき酔っ払って腕に怪我をしたって患者さんが来たんだが、どうも気になってな。詳しく話を聞かせてもらったんだ。そしたらただ酔って怪我をしたわけじゃなく、途中で意識を失って目が覚めたらいつの間にか包帯が巻かれていたらしい。
それって。
He nodded. First, they blacked out, then they woke up with a perfectly patched wound. The circumstances were exactly the same as mine.
その患者さんは風俗嬢でな。昨夜泥酔した状態で帰ろうとしていた時に意識を失って目が覚めたら路上で寝ていたんだそうだ。腕の怪我はその時に気づいたと。他に被害はなく腕の傷も手当て済みだったらしい。
部屋には連れ込まれなかったのか？
みたいだな。お前と状況が全く同じというわけじゃないが、少なくとも怪我の手当てはされていた。乱暴されたとか何かを盗まれたってわけでもない。で、最近この手の患者が増えてるって話をしたのを覚えてるか？実際巷で少し噂になってるらしい。
噂？
外で意識を失うと目が覚めた時に覚えのない怪我をしていて、酔狂な女神なんてあだ名がついてるらしくてな。
女神？女なのか？
いや、わからん。 意識のない怪我人を放っておけずに手当てをするってところからナイチンゲールでも連想したんじゃないのか？
He shrugged wearily.
とりあえず今の話を伝えに来た。あとそれ吸ったらすぐに降りてこい。
He pointed to at the ashtray, then turned and left the room. The goddess of whimsy. Was she the person who brought me to that apartment full of plants? She'd have to be a goddamn saint to take a strange man off the streets. Did that kind of good Samaritan even exist in this day and age? I plucked my cigarette from the ashtray and took one last deep drag. Goddess of whimsy. That's where we're gonna leave it, everybody. So next time, we'll continue and see if we can figure out this goddess of whimsy. Thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for the support. You're awesome as always. Bye, guys.